Hey everybody, good to all see you here. My name is Hans Nordsiek, also known as The Storyteller. It's September 10, 2020 and I'm in the Netherlands, in my home country, my home village called Bergijk in the south. And in the series of interesting talks, I like to talk today about names, about the origin of names, and about words and about the origin of words. And sometimes you will be amazed if you go back to the original meaning of a name or a word, what it was. And let me tell you first that what I want to tell is more than decoration or interesting or nice to hear. It had an impact on me when I started to realize the original meaning of names and of words. And it's my job today to get you into that story, to get you involved, to get you connected with it, and hopefully that it has an impact on your life as it had on my life. By realizing what the original meaning was of words and names, a revelation started to happen in my world. Wow, okay. Did I mean that? Okay, now I can question mark a lot of things in my life and I can answer a lot of things in my life. So once more, I want to convey, and hope I will succeed, to convey that it should have an impact more than interesting and funny to hear. Names and words. Names and words. Today, when we communicate, we use language to convey information. And information, as we all know, is only part of the communication. You first have to, before you start to make a communication, you first make a conveyor belt and then you can give pockets of information. In the essence, and that again, that's a big story, communication is far more than conveying or interchanging information. And again, there it is, we only scratch the surface of what the real meaning of communication is. The Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, they were not so much interested in like how nature built this pen, how it was made, and how chemistry in nature works, and how it mechanically works, etc., and how we can make it, what the chemical formula is of plastic, all those things that we like in our culture. They were far more interested in something totally different. Now take one pen and take another pen. Different things. And what's the relationship between these two? And what's the relationship between 1, 2 and 3? 3 things. Me, this pen and this pen. And there is a relationship. Simple example here. There is a relationship. Now, there's 1, 2, 3. There is one person, one pen, and the second thing that results from this is 3. That is a relationship between this object and me. And if I put another object in the space, we get a more structured relation, more complicated relationship between things. How things in the universe connect and relate to each other, the ancient Egyptians were very, very experienced about that. And they found it far more interesting than only concentrating on one thing. It will be the subject of a next speaking. Popular. What is popular? Popular, we're very popular. Popular is, well, it's so popular. And you know what popular means? Popular comes from the old Roman language, populus. We have the poplar trees. Think is very popular. Populus means people. The word people comes from poplar. And many years ago, when the Roman army, they walked through Europe and they saw these trees, and then the wind was blowing through these trees, through the poplar tree. And then it sounded like a lot of people were talking to each other. That's why they said it's the tree of the populus. It's the people's tree. That's why the word populous tree comes to that type of tree. So popular means it is of the people, it is of you and of me. Last time we talked about the word cosmos, universe, cosmos. Essentially the word cosmos means decoration in the skies. What you see, the planets and the stars and the sun and the moon, they saw it as decoration of the skies. Last time we talked about enthusiasm. Now let me explain to you the word enthusiasm. We talked already last time about ancient cultures, that they knew that if a child was going to be born, that they have to find out the purpose of the meaning or the essence of that child. Why is nature giving this child to us via the womb of a mother? And this birth about potentially to be born into the world, he or she needs a name that is connected, related to the potential, to the talents, the potential talents of that child. So they had procedures also in Europe before the Romans, procedures to find out what is a very applicable name to that person, because we can already find out what his or her potential is for their whole life. Like all the 7 billion people, we are different, and we need a name connected with who we really are. So if you realize that, and then we see how we give names now in the world. When we give a name to a baby, well, it should be a modernized and nice sounding. It's more a decoration of somebody. We don't think about what could be the essence of that child and then stick a name to it. So ancient cultures, they know far more about how to do that than we do today. So the name was given to you after a long search or before birth, what type of person you are, what your potentials are, what your authority are, what your qualities are, and what you're going to do here in this world. And then we give you that name. You know, my name is Hans, H-A-N-S, Hans, and that comes from John. You go back to time, Johann in German, John in English, and that comes from, go back in time, that comes from the Greek Ioannis, and that comes from Italian Giovanni. And if you go back, then you go back to Sumeria, thousands of years ago. Hans, John, Giovanni, Ioannis, and then you come to the word Ea, Ea, and that's the goddess, the divine, the goddess of water and of creativity. So many years ago already, people, when they needed water in a village, and the water, there was like a source of water, and the water came out, and then they made a beautiful fountain around it. And nowadays we look at these fountains, oh yes, beautifully made, decoration. Now I can tell you, the Egyptian never did something on chance just for decoration. Everything had a meaning. So the water that was sprouting out of the ground, given to the people by Neteru, nature, we'll come to that later. We celebrate because somehow the divine force of Ea, water goddess, or the water creativity goddess, is exploring her, manifesting her, and we need to honor that. So that's why we make water into a fountain with beautiful decoration in order to honor the gift of water given to us. Thousands of years ago, when people built castles in the Middle East or in Europe, the castles were around water. And then people started to fight all over Europe, all over the world. We started to have conflicts and fights. And the essence, like they say also in the world of animals, that drinking is a holy thing. If you drink water, don't touch anybody. It's a holy thing. So castles were originally meant as an extension of fountains, and again to honor water as a gift from nature, and castles were there. If you would go to a castle, even though you had a fight, you were fighting, you had a war, if you would go to a castle, get your drink, you deserve, everybody, your enemy, your friends, everybody deserve to get the water from the fountain, from the water from Ea and from the castle. So my name comes from the divinity of water, and that means divinity also of creativity. The word Maria, Mary, Maria, Marie, Mario, Marianne, all these words, they're given like it's a nice name, like Annette and Joanne, and you can give also Maria. That's a nice name. Well, there's a little bit more to tell about that, about Maria, what Maria means. And we all know the symbol of Maria in the Christian Catholic culture, of Maria having Jesus the baby in her hand, in her arms. So think about that. If you go back to the original meaning of Maria, and I spell it for you, and then we're going to investigate it. Maria, Maria, no, Gibraltar. Some very things have a lot of words have like an Arabic origin. Maria, Gibraltar, altar. In the church, altar means table. Just altar is a table. Anyway, Maria is the place in the universe where life and death both manifest themselves in order to create life. In other words, Maria is the place in the universe where death is being transformed in life, where life manifests his or herself through Maria. And it happened to be the womb of a lady. So the womb of a lady, what's happening there due to magical forces, nobody can really understand how it works, how babies get born. Wow. And that symbol and that principle of the baby being born and getting out of death, making life, that principle in the universe is called Maria. Wow. Isn't that so beautiful if you think about it? Now, you know what it does to me? That, wow, those people in the past, they knew far more than we do. Far more. I never... Well, now the word Maria means more than just a nice name or a decoration. It has an impact, it has a meaning. Catholicism is an old Greek word, katholikos, comes from katholikos. It means the one and only, the only thing. Catholicism means the only thing. Now you may decide for yourself what that means. Catholicism means the only one thing, there's nothing else, this is it. That means Catholicism. I didn't invent the rules, I just tell you. And I'm a storyteller. I don't make up the stories, I tell the stories. That's why I'm here. I tell you the stories because I like to be aware of things. I want you to help somehow to be aware of things. So, all the stories that we tell each other, we don't make them, we just tell them. Storyteller. The enthusiasm, oh yes, oh no, what an enthusiastic dog. You know what an enthusiastic dog? That's an enthusiastic dog. A not so enthusiastic dog is enthusiastic dog. Yeah. Well, that's what we think it is. It's far more than that. Enthusiasm, an old Greek word, and it means in English inspired by the divine. Inspired by the divine. Inspired by the divine forces. We talked about it the last time that musicians know that, and many artists, if they're they're making music on a guitar, they're making a statue or painting or something. If they are in their tune, if they are in their bliss, and then they feel getting bigger, and then they feel like they have 10 hands to play on the piano. That means that if you are in your bliss, if you're in your tune, you get strong. You get 10 times as strong as you think. And that is, you have enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. Being inspired by something that's bigger than you. We don't go into detail how that works in the universe, because the Egyptians, the Incas, they all know this. We have forgotten a little bit. It went to the churches, sort of, and they said, okay, that's what we talk about. That's our subject. We owe these subjects. And we talked about it last time. Religion, God is a very slippery surface, a very slippery subject. So it's hard to avoid it, because it's been so defining in the world. The religions that we know and the concept of God. And if you want to have a better understanding of religion and concept of God, you have to go thousands of years back, and then again go back to the ancient cultures, and they had a far less affected connotation to religion or to God. Religion means to reconnect, religio, to reconnect. Spirit. So spirit is like alcohol. We drink spirits, we get booze, we get drunk. Or it's more than that. You have spirit, you have inspire, you have aspire. Also the religions, they took the world of inspiration and aspiration to them, and I think the world of inspiration and aspiration belongs to all of us, and especially to the artists in the world. They're the forerunners into inspiration and aspiration. 3 times. Spire, air. I get air into my nose. Now we come to one of the essences of being human. I inhale air, inspire, I get inspiration. And when I exhale, it is aspire, I give. I take and I give. I take, inspire, and I aspire. So if people say to you, I am going to inspire you, by definition, that's impossible. You can only inspire yourself. It's like saying, well, I will eat for you. Now, I can give you food, I cannot eat for you. I can give you things, and you need to inspire it. So inspire, aspire, now it goes in, and this is partly metaphorical. Inspire and aspire. And what is your job? Now make it into something bigger, not only air, anything you do in life, when you get things from life, like a beautiful sunset, like love, like food, like you name it, food, money, a nice view, anything you get from life, then the ancient culture says, well, you have to do something with that. Before you give it back to something outside of you, you need to give it your color, the color of your heart, of your mind, of your spirit. Do something with it, because you are manifesting yourself as a creative human powerhouse, and what you get, transform it somehow, some way, and then give it back to the earth, like the artists do. No. Like a painter does. He gets a view, an idea, he takes it up, he takes inspiration, and he starts to get paint on the panel, and he starts to aspire. Then he starts to work. And by giving aspiration, then you get enthusiasm, because then you're in tune, in bliss with who you are, and in tune and bliss with who the universe works, and then you get help. And then you feel 10 times as big. That means inspire and aspire. Anchor, or in Dutch anker, in English anchor. And anchor comes from the Egyptian word ankh. Remember this one, ankh. Many meanings to it. Ankh is the key of life. That's what they say. It comes from the Egyptian culture. Well, you see many things in it. Now, think again about the religion, Catholic Christian religion. You see the cross. at least part of the cross. Here it is, part of the cross. Part of the cross. It's a symbol, and the symbol means this stands for something else. If I say house, the word house is not what it is. The word house is a symbol for something that I'm in. And that's the same with this. A symbol stands for something else. Symbolic, connected with two things, symbiosis. So, the key of life, what the Egyptians said, and well, you may recognize a few things here. You know, you see the cross that we know from the Catholic Christian tradition, and we see another thing here is that we see different directions: vertical, horizontal, vertical, vertical, horizontal, and then we see a circle. And in the circle, the magical part, the circle of life, there is no beginning and no ending. It's a magical part in the universe, a circle. There is no left or right. It's just an endless going on, in contrary to the horizontal and the vertical lines here. The ankh was by the Egyptians always put on top of the pyramid as an antenna. And antenna, the word antenna, means, if you go back to the original meaning, it means something which can get on fire, something which can catch fire, which can catch the fire. That means an antenna. The last thing I want to talk about words is it's all about eating and digesting the things we say to each other and giving it your own color. That's why I talk about these things. That if you get the real meaning in twofold, the real meaning that words have a meaning. Last week we talked about abracadabra. Abracadabra, blah, 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 abracadabra of the magician. Well, abracadabra means my words will manifest themselves. Abracadabra. So what I speak will be manifested. So you better be sure what you say, good or bad, because it may happen. So it's connected, abracadabra is connected with inspire, aspire. When you get things, give it the color of what you are, whatever you do, driving a car, whatever you do in life, and then give it back, that inspire and aspire. The overwhelming, now nature, let's talk about nature. We say something is natural or something is unnatural. Next time we talk about theory. That's a very funny word, theory. What theory means? It doesn't mean theory. In fact, it's very funny. If you find the original meaning of theory, it means everything but theory, the word theory. We'll talk about it next time. So, the nature, unnatural behavior, natural behavior. A tree is nature, plastic is not nature, oil is not nature. Well, yes, oil, yeah, it comes from the ground. Well, and plastic comes from the oil, it comes from the ground. And we talked many times, airplanes, they come from the ground. So how can something be non-natural or unnatural? Chemical things, plastic, everything comes from the ground. So I get confused. Why is there natural and unnatural things? I get confused because I think that's an artificial division of words. Everything is natural. Something cannot be unnatural. And now we look at the original meaning of nature, and again that comes from the Egyptians, and it comes from the word neteru. Again, now we think nature is like the animals, like the minerals, like the trees, like the plants. That's nature, and we are partly natural, partly we're not natural, etc. Well, nature, neteru, means something else. I will show you here. Neteru is, I will show you. Here, I make a drawing. Now, see this as this is the world as we know it today. This is the universe. Humans in it, and the moon, and things, everything under the sky that we know of is there. And then the Egyptians said, well, there is There is an overruling, overwhelming, an overwhelming divinity. This one, that is defining how things behave in the universe. And this is neteru. So the logic of things in the universe that is being defined and being manipulated by, they say, divinity is called, or the goddess is called neteru. So everything that happens in the whole universe follows rules, as we know. And the divining creative power was neteru. And I remember it was a female neteru, connected with water, connected with creativity. We come to the end of today's talks about words and about names. Your takeaway for today is that think about your name, and number one, think about what it could mean, and third, look at yourself how you are now, with your unique talents, qualities, all your potentials that are still there, not yet given, not yet coming out. And I guarantee we all have thousands of millions of talents. What word, what name would you give to yourself? So put your present name to the side and think about what name would be the perfect title for defining your life. So that is your takeaway for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. See you next time. I'll be back.